the galaxy turned without them. Stars were born, burned brightly, and faded into the black void, all under the indifferent gaze of the vast expanse. Yet for the thousands of sentient species that had charted their course through the cosmos, one question remained an unresolved enigma. Where had humanity gone? For eons, humanity had been a juggernaut of exploration and ingenuity. They were the first to terraform barren worlds, the first to stand shoulder to shoulder with alien civilizations as equals, and the first to challenge the laws of nature itself with technologies that seemed indistinguishable from magic. Then without warning they vanished. It was not a slow decline, no centuries-long decay into obscurity. Humanity left swiftly, decisively, and without explanation. One year they stood as titans of the galactic concord, their fleets spanning countless systems. The next, their colonies were abandoned, their great cities left to the creeping wilderness, and their transmissions fell silent. The Chiral Council held an emergency summit on the matter. The Chiral were an ancient species, their scales glinting like polished metal under the light of their planetary capitals. Venerable and wise, they had assumed humanity would be a permanent fixture in the galactic tableau. Yet now the empty chairs in their assembly hall spoke louder than any words. Ambassador Exwenthal, a towering insectoid from the Shantari Dominion, tapped one of their clawed appendages on the holographic dais. The absence of humanity has disrupted galactic equilibrium, they intoned, their voice like the rustle of leaves. Trade routes collapse. Alliances falter. Their ingenuity once stabilized the unpredictable. We must find them. But the truth was no one knew where to begin. Probes sent to Earth found it eerily quiet. Cities stood intact but lifeless, as though the humans had simply stepped out for a moment. Their fleets, once unmatched in the galaxy, drifted aimlessly in space, their automated systems maintaining them, but their crews were gone. There was no sign of war, no great calamity to explain their absence. Some whispered of ascension, that humanity had reached a technological apex and transcended their physical forms. Others feared they had annihilated themselves in an act of hubris. And still, there were those who believed humanity had left behind breadcrumbs, a trail leading to their new domain. One such believer was a Renaxi historian named Dr. Kalir Voss. Small, wiry, and possessing fur that shimmered faintly in light, Kalir had devoted his career to studying humanity. He had catalogued their art, their stories, their odd proclivity for humor even in dire circumstances. He knew their history better than many of them likely had. When humanity vanished, Kalir's fascination turned to obsession. He scoured the derelict human archives left behind on Earth, seeking patterns, hidden messages, anything that could explain the disappearance. His colleagues dismissed him as eccentric, even delusional, but Kalir did not care. He knew there was something humanity had left unsaid, a secret they had buried within the echoes of their departure. His breakthrough came in an unlikely place, an ancient human space station orbiting Proxima Centauri. While most of its systems were offline, Kalir discovered a single functioning data node. The node contained encrypted files marked with the emblem of Sol Command, the organization that had once overseen humanity's exploration efforts. It took months to decode the files, and even then much of the data was corrupted. But what Kalir uncovered chilled him. The log spoke of a phenomenon referred to only as the signal. It had been detected across multiple star systems, a low-frequency hum that defied analysis. Humanity had believed it to be an extraterrestrial transmission, a message from the deep void. But then the signal began to change. It grew louder, more complex. It seemed to respond to human transmissions, mirroring their own attempts at communication. And as it evolved, strange occurrences followed. Anomalies in spacetime, sudden disappearances of entire research teams, and the inexplicable appearance of artifacts bearing no resemblance to human or known alien technology. The final log entry was brief, almost hurried. We can no longer ignore it. The signal is not a message. It is a summons. If we do not answer, we may face consequences beyond our understanding. To those who find this, know that we left not in fear but in hope. Kalir shared his findings with the Galactic Concord, but his warnings were met with skepticism. The signal was dismissed as myth, a human invention born of their endless curiosity and paranoia. Kalir, however, knew better. He believed humanity had departed the galaxy, not as refugees but as pilgrims. Driven by this conviction, he embarked on a solo expedition aboard a refurbished human starship. Its technology was centuries old, but its engines were still unmatched. Kalir charted a course based on the scattered coordinates in the Sol Command files, leading him to the galactic rim, a region uncharted and unexplored. As he ventured deeper into the void, The stars grew sparse, the darkness heavier. And then he heard it, a faint rhythmic hum echoing through the ship's systems. The signal. It was not a sound but a presence resonating in Kalir's very being. It was both inviting and foreboding, a siren call that seemed to pull him forward. He realized with both fear and exhilaration that he was tracing humanity's final path, walking in their shadow toward an unknown destiny. What had they found out here in the unlit reaches of space? And why had they chosen to answer a call that no one else dared to acknowledge? Kalir would find out soon enough, though he was uncertain whether the knowledge would bring clarity or madness. Dr. Kalir Vasa's starship, the Endeavor, crept along the galactic rim, its sensors straining to penetrate the dark veil of the uncharted void. The stars here were fewer, dimmer, as though light itself hesitated to exist in this forsaken region. Yet the faint hum of the signal grew stronger with each passing parsec, a relentless cadence that seemed to thrum in harmony with his own heartbeat. Kalir had prepared for isolation. The Galactic Concord had refused to sponsor his expedition, labeling it a fool's errand. But in truth he welcomed the solitude. The Endeavor was stocked with enough provisions to last years, and its AI companion, Avira, was equipped with cutting-edge algorithms capable of synthesizing human conversational patterns. It wasn't perfect, but it was close enough. "Dr. Voss," Avira said, her soft, lilting tone breaking the silence. "We are approaching the coordinates derived from the final Soul Command logs. Long-range sensors indicate an anomaly ahead." Kalir leaned forward, his fur bristling with anticipation. "Define anomaly," he said, his voice hoarse from disuse. "Unidentifiable energy signatures. Frequencies beyond the standard spectrum. I recommend caution." "Caution won't uncover answers, Avira," Kalir replied, his fingers dancing over the controls. "Bring us closer." The ship's thrusters fired, propelling the Endeavor toward the source of the anomaly. As they closed the distance, the black void before them seemed to shimmer, the darkness itself rippling like disturbed water. Then it appeared, a massive construct unlike anything in the known galaxy. It was a sphere, kilometers in diameter, its surface a mosaic of shifting lights and dark, chitinous plating. The structure seemed alive, pulsating faintly as though it had a heartbeat of its own. Surrounding it were dozens of derelict ships, human and alien alike, their hulls scarred and lifeless. Kalir's breath caught in his throat. "What is that?" "Analyzing," Avira said. "The structure exhibits properties of both organic and synthetic composition. It matches no known designs or species. Based on preliminary scans, its age is indeterminate, but likely predates recorded galactic history." "Predates history," Kalir murmured, his voice tinged with awe. Humanity had stumbled upon this, and instead of retreating, they had approached it. What had driven them to confront the unknowable? As if in answer to his unspoken question, the signal surged through the ship's systems, its intensity almost deafening. Kalir winced, clutching his head as the sound resonated in his mind. "Dr. Voss," Avira said urgently, "the signal appears to be interfacing with the ship's systems. I am unable to block it." "Don't block it," Kalir gasped, fighting through the pain. "Let it guide us." The Endeavor moved closer to the sphere, drawn by an unseen force. As they neared, a portion of the structure unfolded, revealing an opening large enough to accommodate the ship. "Avira," Kalir said, his voice trembling, "take us in." "Dr. Voss, this course of action is highly inadvisable," Avira protested. "We do not know if the ship will survive entry." "We didn't come this far to turn back," Kalir said firmly. The ship entered the sphere, passing through a shimmering barrier that crackled like static. Inside, the space was vast and otherworldly, an endless expanse of glowing tendrils and floating platforms. Strange symbols danced across the walls, their meanings elusive but tantalizingly close to comprehension. Kalir disembarked, his boots clicking against the translucent floor of one of the platforms. The air was breathable, though it carried an odd metallic tang. He felt the weight of the place pressing down on him, a palpable sense of being watched. "Avira," he said, his voice a whisper, "record everything." The AI responded, but Kalir barely heard her. His attention was drawn to the center of the chamber, where a massive obelisk stood. It was covered in intricate carvings, each one shifting and changing as he tried to focus on it. And then he saw them. At first he thought they were shadows, tricks of the light. But as he stepped closer, their forms became clear, humans. Dozens of them, standing motionless around the obelisk, their eyes closed as if in a deep trance. "Impossible," Kalir breathed. He approached cautiously, his fur standing on end. Their appearances varied, Some wore the uniforms of Sol Command officers, others the simple garb of colonists. But all of them shared the same serene expression, as though they had found some profound truth. "Dr. Voss," Avira said, her tone tinged with urgency, "I am detecting neural activity in these individuals. They are alive." Kalir's heart raced. Humanity wasn't gone. They were here, preserved within this enigmatic construct. But why? What had drawn them to this place and what kept them here? As he reached out to touch one of the humans, the obelisk flared to life. A beam of light shot out, enveloping Kalir in a cocoon of brilliance. He felt his consciousness pulled from his body, his mind spiraling into a vortex of light and sound. When the sensation subsided, he found himself standing in a vast, featureless void. Before him stood a figure, not human, not alien, but something else entirely. Its form shifted constantly, a kaleidoscope of shapes and colors that defied understanding. "You are not one of them," the figure said, its voice resonating in Kalir's mind. "No," Kalir replied, his voice steady despite his fear. "I am here to find them. To understand why they left." "They answered the call," the figure said. "The signal was not meant for you but for them. A test, an invitation to join us in the next stage of existence." "Next stage?" Kalir echoed. "Humanity has transcended," the figure said. "They saw the universe not as it is but as it could be. They chose to embrace the unknown, to become something greater." Kalir's mind reeled. Humanity hadn't vanished. They had evolved, leaving behind the constraints of their physical forms to explore a higher plane of existence. "But why leave no explanation?" he asked. "Why abandon the galaxy without a word?" "To preserve your path," the figure replied. "Their journey is not yours to follow. Each species must find its own way to the truth." The figure began to fade and Kalir felt himself pulled back to his body. As his eyes opened, he found the chamber empty, the humans, the obelisk, even the glowing tendrils all gone. Only the signal remained, its hum now soft and distant, as though bidding him farewell. The chamber's emptiness was overwhelming, a stark contrast to the vibrant, otherworldly environment Kalir had just witnessed. He stood frozen, his fur still bristling from the encounter. The humans, the obelisk, the mysterious figure, they were all gone, leaving him alone with a million unanswered questions. "Avira," Kalir whispered, his voice trembling, "did you record that?" "Yes, Dr. Voss," the AI responded. "However, the data is fragmented. The energy signatures of this environment interfere with our systems in ways I cannot fully compensate for." "Of course they do," Kalir muttered, running a hand through his fur. He turned to face the ship, his instincts urging him to retreat, to analyze the events from the safety of the Endeavor. But the faint pulse of the signal tugged at his mind, urging him to stay. Something had changed within him. The encounter with the figure hadn't just been a conversation, it had imprinted something deep in his psyche. He could feel it, a quiet hum that resonated with the rhythm of the signal, urging him forward. "Avira, any readings on this platform?" he asked. "The platform exhibits the same organic-synthetic hybrid properties as the rest of the structure," Avira said. "However, there are traces of human genetic material embedded within its framework." "Human genetic material?" Kalir's eyes widened. "Are you saying this platform contains remnants of them?" "Not remnants," Avira clarified. "The genetic material is active, though its function is unclear. It's possible the structure integrates biological components for its operation." The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just found this place, they had become a part of it. The sphere wasn't a simple artifact, it was alive, a living testament to their transformation. Kalir's gaze shifted to the far side of the chamber, where another platform hovered in the void, connected by a narrow bridge of light. The pulse of the signal grew stronger in that direction, its rhythm quickening like a heartbeat. "Avira, prepare for further exploration," Kalir said. "Dr. Voss, I must advise against proceeding," Avira said. "The energy signatures in this environment pose significant risks. Additionally, your neural activity has been erratic since the encounter with the entity." "I can't stop now," Kalir replied, his voice firm. "This is the closest anyone's come to understanding what happened to humanity. We have to see it through." He crossed the bridge, each step filling him with a mix of anticipation and dread. The light beneath his feet rippled with his movements as though alive. The platform ahead was different from the first. Its surface was smooth and mirrored, reflecting a distorted image of the vast chamber. At its center stood a pedestal, atop which rested a small, crystalline object. It pulsed with the same rhythm as the signal, its light casting faint shadows across the mirrored floor. What is that? Kalir asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Analyzing, Avira said. The object appears to be a data storage device, though its composition is unlike anything in our records. It emits a unique energy signature that aligns with the signal's frequency. Kalir approached cautiously, his reflection shifting and warping in the mirrored surface. As he reached for the crystal, he felt a surge of energy pass through him, a sensation both exhilarating and terrifying. The moment his fingers touched the crystal, the chamber dissolved around him. Kalir found himself in a new space, vast, endless, and bathed in a soft, golden light. The air was thick with an indescribable presence, a sense of being watched by countless unseen eyes. Welcome, traveler. The voice echoed from all directions, rich and resonant. It was the same entity he had encountered before, but here it felt more tangible, more real. Where am I? Kalir asked, his voice trembling. This is the archive, the entity replied. A repository of all that humanity was and has become. Their thoughts, their memories, their essence, all preserved within the sphere. Kalir's mind raced. Why? Why did they leave everything behind to become this? They sought freedom, the entity said. Freedom from the limitations of flesh, from the constraints of time and space. Humanity's curiosity drove them to explore not just the stars, but the very fabric of existence. They found the means to ascend, to evolve beyond what they were. And what about us? Kalir asked. The species they left behind? Why not share this knowledge, this ascension? It was not their path to impose, the entity said. Each species must find its own way. Humanity's journey is unique to them, shaped by their struggles, their triumphs, their fears. To share it would be to diminish it. Kalir's frustration boiled over. So they just abandoned us? Left us to wonder and suffer without explanation? They left a legacy, the entity said. Not in words or artifacts, but in the echoes of their existence. The signal is a beacon, a reminder that the universe is vast and full of possibilities. It is not an invitation but a challenge, to see beyond the known and embrace the unknown. The golden light began to fade and Kalir felt himself pulled back to reality. He awoke on the platform, the crystal still in his hand. The chamber was silent, the signal now a faint hum in the background. Dr. Voss, Avira said, her voice tinged with concern. Your vital signs were erratic for several minutes. Are you all right? I'm fine, Kalir said, though his voice betrayed his exhaustion. He stared at the crystal, its light now dim but steady. He had his answers, but they only raised more questions. Humanity hadn't vanished, they had transcended, leaving behind a mystery that would echo through the galaxy for millennia. As he returned to the endeavor, the crystal safely secured, Kalir felt a sense of purpose. Humanity's story wasn't over, it had simply entered a new chapter. And it was up to the rest of the galaxy to decide whether to follow or forge their own path. The hum of the signal had quieted to a faint vibration, barely discernible, as if it too knew the end of Kalir's journey was near. He stood aboard the Endeavor, the crystal encased in a protective field at the center of the command module. Around him, the crew watched in tense silence. Report, Avira, Kalir said, breaking the stillness. The crystal's energy levels are stabilizing, Avira replied. It is transmitting faint bursts of data, but they appear to be encrypted. Decoding them will take time. How much time? Kalir asked, his claws tapping the edge of the console. Unknown. The encryption algorithms appear to be dynamic, evolving as they are analyzed. Kalir leaned back, his tail swishing restlessly. The journey had taken its toll. The weight of what he'd discovered, what he'd glimpsed, was almost too much to bear. Humanity's ascension was not just a story of evolution but a challenge. A gauntlet thrown at the feet of every species in the galaxy. And the question lingered, what would they do with it? The crew gathered in the observation bay, the vast expanse of the sphere visible through the reinforced glass. It loomed like a silent guardian, its surface shimmering faintly with the energy of a billion untold stories. This is bigger than us, whispered Myron, one of the engineers. It's bigger than anyone, Kalir replied, his voice heavy with weariness. But that doesn't absolve us of responsibility. We're the first to uncover it. That makes it ours to understand. Do we share it? Myron asked. Kalir hesitated. Not yet. We don't understand it enough to share. What if this knowledge causes more harm than good? What if some species use it to dominate others or twist it into something monstrous? The silence that followed was suffocating. Each crew member grappled with the enormity of their discovery and the moral implications of their actions. Avira interrupted the quiet. Dr. Voss, I have completed a preliminary analysis of the crystal's data. It contains a single message addressed to all sentient life. Play it, Kalir said. The ship's systems dimmed, and the crystal emitted a faint glow. A holographic figure appeared, its form fluid and indistinct. It was neither human nor alien but a representation of something transcendent, a fusion of everything humanity had been and what they had become. Greetings, seekers, the figure said, its voice resonating with a blend of countless tones and pitches. You have found what we left behind, a fragment of our story, a beacon to guide you. We are humanity, and we have walked the path you now tread. The crew leaned closer, their breaths held in anticipation. We were once like you, the figure continued. Bound by flesh, limited by time, driven by curiosity and fear. But the universe called to us and we answered. Through unity, sacrifice, and relentless pursuit, we transcended what we were. We became more than our physical forms, more than individuals. We became a collective consciousness, a part of the cosmos itself. The figure's light grew brighter, its voice more fervent. We do not seek to impose our path upon you. Your journey must be your own. But we leave you this, a choice. To continue as you are or to take the first step toward something greater. A sudden pulse of energy filled the room and the figure's form flickered. If you choose the latter, the crystal will guide you. If not, leave this place and let it remain as a mystery for others to find. The universe is vast and there are as many paths as there are stars. Choose wisely. The hologram faded, leaving the room in silence. Kalir stared at the now dormant crystal, his mind racing. The choice was not just his. It belonged to everyone. But the responsibility to decide how to present it to the galaxy rested squarely on his shoulders. What do we do, Captain? Myron asked, his voice breaking the heavy quiet. Kalir turned to face the crew. We report what we've seen, but not all of it. The crystal's existence stays classified until we can truly understand its implications. Humanity's ascension isn't a gift or a warning, it's a question. And until we have answers, we can't risk the chaos it might unleash. The crew nodded, their faces a mix of relief and unease. Prepare the Endeavor for departure, Kalir said. We've learned all we can hear for now. It's time to leave this place and let the galaxy decide what it's ready for. As the Endeavor pulled away from the sphere, Kalir stood alone in the observation bay, staring at the enigmatic artifact. He felt a sense of closure, knowing that he had done all he could. Yet the questions lingered. Wherever humanity had gone, they had left behind more than just a mystery. They had left a challenge, a call to rise above the petty conflicts and limitations that plagued sentient life. And as the sphere faded into the distance, Kalir couldn't help but wonder, would the galaxy rise to meet that challenge? Or would it succumb to its own fears and flaws? Only time would tell. For now, the mystery of humanity's ascension would remain just that, a mystery. And perhaps, Kalir thought that was how it should be.